but a more scientific and accurate method has been devised by Bertillon. His camera lens is always used at a fixed height from the ground and forms its image on the plate at an exact focus. The print made from the negative is mounted on a card in a space of definite size, along the edges of which a metric scale is printed. In the way he has worked it out, the distance between any two points in the picture can be determined. With a topographical plan and a metric photograph one can study a crime as a general studies the map of a strange country. There were several peculiar things that I observed to day, and I have here an indelible record of the scene of the crime. Preserved in this way, it cannot be questioned. Now, the photographs were in this cabinet. There are other cabinets, but none of them has been disturbed. Therefore, the thief must have known just what he was after. The marks made in breaking the lock were not those of a jimmy, but of a screwdriver. No amazing command of the resources of science is needed so far. All that is necessary is a little scientific common sense, Walter. Now, how did the robber get in? All the windows and doors were supposedly locked. It is alleged that a pane was cut from this window at the side. It was, and the pieces were there to show it. But take a glance at this outside photograph. To reach that window even a tall man must have stood on a ladder or something. There are no marks of a ladder or of any person in the soft soil under the window. What is more, that window was cut from the inside. The marks of the diamond which cut it plainly show that. Scientific common sense again.
Then it must have been someone in the house, or at least someone familiar with it, I exclaimed. Kennedy nodded.
One thing we have which the police greatly neglect, he pursued, a record. We have made some progress in reconstructing the crime, as Bertillon calls it. If we only had those Hanford pictures we should be all right.
We were now on our way to see Miss Ashton at headquarters, and as we rode downtown I tried to reason out the case. Had it really been a put-up job? Was Travis himself faking, and was the robbery a plant by which he might forestall exposure of what had become public property in the hands of another, no longer disposed to conceal it? Or was it, after all, the last desperate blow of the boss? The whole thing began to assume a suspicious look in my mind. Although Kennedy seemed to have made little real progress, I felt that, far from aiding Travis, it made things darker. There was nothing but his unsupported word that he had not visited the boss subsequent to the nominating convention. He admitted having done so before the Reform League came into existence. Besides, it seemed tacitly understood that both the boss and Cadwallader Brown acquiesced in the sworn statement of the man who said he had made the pictures. Added to that, the mere existence of the actual pictures themselves was a graphic clincher to the story. Personally, if I had been in Kennedy's place, I think I should have taken advantage of the proviso in the compact with Travis to back out gracefully. Kennedy, however, now started on the case, hung to it tenaciously. Miss Ashton was waiting for us at the press bureau. Her desk was at the middle of one end of the room, in which, if she could keep an eye on her office force, the office force could also keep an eye on her. Kennedy had apparently taken in the arrangement during our morning visit, for he set to work immediately. The side of the room toward the office of Travis and Bennett presented an expanse of blank wall. With a mallet he quickly knocked a hole in the rough plaster just above the baseboard about the room. The hole did not penetrate quite through to the other side. In it he placed a round disc of vulcanized rubber, with insulated wires leading down the back of the baseboard, then out underneath it and under the carpet. Some plaster quickly closed up the cavity in the wall, and he left it to dry. Next he led the wires under the carpet to Miss Ashton's desk. There they ended, under the carpet and a rug, 18 or 20 huge coils, several feet in diameter, disposed in such a way as to attract no attention by a curious foot on the carpet which covered them.
"That is all, Miss Ashton,"
he said as we watched for his next move.
"I shall want to see you early tomorrow, and might I ask you to be sure to wear that hat which you have on?"
It was a very becoming hat, but Kennedy's tone clearly indicated that it was not his taste in inverted basket millinery that prompted the request. She promised, smiling, for even a suffragette may like pretty hats. Craig had still to see Travis and report on his work. The candidate was waiting anxiously at his hotel after a big political mass meeting on the East Side, at which capitalism and the bosses had been hissed to the echo, if that is possible.
"What success?"
inquired Travis eagerly.
"I'm afraid,"
replied Kennedy, and the candidate's face fell at the tone,
"I'm afraid you will have to meet them, for the present. The time limit will expire tomorrow, and understand Hanford is coming up for a final answer. We must have copies of those photographs, even if we have to pay for them. There seems to be no other way."
Travis sank back in his chair and regarded Kennedy hopelessly. He was actually pale.
You don't mean to say that there is no other way, that I'll have to admit even before Bennett and others that I'm in bad?" "I wouldn't put it that way,"
said Kennedy mercilessly, I thought.
"It is that way,"
Travis asserted almost fiercely.
"Why, we could have done that anyhow. No, I don't mean that. Pardon me. I'm upset by this. Go ahead," he sighed. "You will direct Bennett to make the best terms he can with Hanford when he comes up tomorrow. Have him arrange the details of payment, and then rush the best copies of the photographs to me."
Travis seemed crushed. End of The Campaign Grafter by Arthur B. Reeve, Part 1.